When I was younger, I'd play basketball. I would not leave the court until I hit a three. A portion of what you need to do that I see a lot of people not doing is just ask yourself why.
Hello, are you the person who rents out your warehouse? Do you still need to rent out your warehouse? No. Why do we do what we do? So once I started asking myself why more often for everything that I'm doing in terms of when I'm making something, I noticed the quality of work go up. And I just want to talk about that for a minute in two ways. One, the intention behind things, and two, the process which can lead to intention.
I'll relate this to video production because I work in video production.
I guess we can start with the intention behind something, and we can look at this scenario right here as an example. I have intention behind how I film myself talking to the camera for YouTube. The intent is to not have to spend a lot of time setting things up, a camera and a mic, that's it. No lights set up, not too distracting of a frame, and it's easy. So that's the why for how something simple like this that doesn't quite matter, that's the why. So even for something that doesn't quite matter, there is intention behind it.
Why is the camera where it is? Why are you moving it? Why is the lens on there? What focal length is right for this particular shot? I think a lot of new people don't do that, and I think that it's a super important thing to do.
Another example that I always think about is traditional coverage in movies. Some recent movies that I've seen don't really follow much of the traditional coverage rule, and I've always hated traditional coverage. I don't understand it. There is no reason that I can think of even why a camera would be cutting. I would let a scene play out in a wide shot with two people talking to each other and not cut at all if I could. To get to a point where you have more intention and purpose for what you're doing, just ask yourself why. And if you continue to ask yourself that question, you will notice a major improvement because the things that you will be making will make more sense because there's a reason behind it. The answer is always coming from you. You ask yourself why, where, when, and you make decisions that make sense and create a better final product. The other way to gain more intent is to think about your process and to create some rules within your process that you abide by that lead you to answering the question why. When I was younger, I played basketball, and whenever I would be on the court practicing, whether it was at home or on the court, I wouldn't leave at the end until I hit a three. And it was annoying because sometimes it took a while if you're tired at the end of the day and you're thinking like, oh, I need to nail this shot before I'm allowed to leave. One way that I incorporated that into filmmaking, specifically shooting like B-roll for doc style work or commercial work, to not end the day on a bad shot. When I started doing that, it felt like practicing for basketball and not ending the day without hitting a shot successfully. Once I started saying, I'm not gonna end the day on a bad shot, I tried to say,
why only focus that on the last shot of the day? Let's try to make all the shots of the day look good. Of course, that goes without saying, but it really took me to say, I'm not gonna end with like a B-roll shot that looks like shit.
Then I started making rules for myself that I would not hit record unless I knew the shot would be used or had a high potential of being used in the final product or was useful in some type of way. So much so that when I work with some directors that I have a good relationship with, if it's not a shot that was pre-planned or discussed or on the storyboards, I will make them hit record if we're getting a shot that I don't think should be shot.
It's kind of like a little bit of a joke scenario, but I'm also very serious when I say, if, I'll voice my opinion, don't want to shoot this, we need to change it or something. If they want to shoot it, I make them hit record.
I just don't want to hit record on something that I think doesn't look good. If you're setting up a scene, do you want to be hitting record all day long on something that you don't like? Because of playing basketball when I was younger, translating to not finishing the day with a bad shot, translating to trying to make every shot a good shot, then translating to, well, you need to set up a scene that you're going to be in for half the day or the whole day, better look good. You then push for the why. Your process in this case is to not set up something that looks bad. Your why then becomes, why do I place this here? Or where do I place the camera? What lens do I use? Why am I making those decisions? Is this all going to work? So the process and the intent behind things start to come together. And the more that you do it, the more that you can make good-looking stuff.
The second you start asking yourself why in all that you're doing, the better results that you will see.
The last part of this has been something that's kind of newer to me, and that is part of the process part of this, and it's what it's like to shoot on film. So film, you have much less time to shoot than digital, because digital you can kind of just let it run all day. Hard drives are affordable. You can swap your memory card and shoot for free all day long. With film, obviously, you can't do that. And recently, shooting more on film, I spend a lot more time determining, is this right? Let's spend some time to make sure that this is what I want it to be. And that is part of the process. You slow down, you make sure everything is right. That part of the process puts you into more of a focused state where you can start asking yourself questions and start telling yourself answers and determining decisions. That is a much better workflow to be in, to be intentional. It feels better. You have a better vision of what's going on. You plan things ahead of time, and you're working more smoothly and more successfully because you're making things that have reason and purpose behind them. You just get better and better and better at that as time goes on. Similarly to how one may learn how to use a camera and the technical aspects of it, how to focus the lens and how to expose the camera, make a technically good image that's in focus and exposed properly. Now, how do you make an image that feels like something, and a series of images that can make somebody feel like something? That is where you need more than, oh, here's how I change the setting on this camera. Here's how I do this. Oh, there's a person sitting here that I need to film. You have an unlimited amount of focal lengths to choose to capture that, an unlimited amount of ways to light it. You start asking yourself, what do we want to feel? What's the purpose of this? What is my process? Et cetera, et cetera. And you mix all of these things together to get a much more powerful final product. And it all comes down to the intention and the reason and the purpose being within that work. This applies to anything that one may be making or setting up. It could be if you're planning a party, it could be if you're making a dinner. It's everything, and it's so simple because it really comes down to two things. One, just ask yourself questions, and then you yourself will give yourself the answers. And two, develop some rules for your process. Again, my two rules were, don't end the day on a bad shot, then don't end the day on a bad B-roll shot, then just make the whole day be good shots. Be more careful with what you're rolling on. Just those couple things, those two process elements and the one asking myself questions, makes everything better, easier. You feel more in control. If you try these things, even if you don't know what to do for your process rules, just start asking yourself questions. Why is this lens on here? Why is this focal length here? Why is the aperture this? And you might just come up with an answer that may make you change what's on the camera for the better. Talking about process, I gave myself 15 minutes to record this, and the camera's about to